said he, an archer aims an arrow, the wise aim their restless thoughts, hard to aim, hard to restrain. Remember the other day I told you about meditation is not cheap? Now sometimes a master will tell you that meditation is something very easy, because it's your true nature, and which is absolutely true. But at other times they will tell you that it is very hard to restrain the mind. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna agrees when Arjun tells him, that this mind is very difficult to keep control. He's always wandering hither and thither. I think Master says so, just so that you do not take things for granted. Because many people take things for granted. You just do japa, reciting mantra, sing, dance, do some methods, some therapies, and it's okay. But just to make you aware that it's not that easy. And by saying so, it's not to discourage you, but on the contrary, to make you become so aware that not only you don't for granted, so that you gather all your means and understand that this is something serious, that it requires energy, and indeed tremendous energy, infinite patience, and much time is required to, I would not use the word control, but to transcend the mind, to master the mind. So that you not take for my says, the archer aims an arrow, the wise aim their restless thought, hard to aim. He says the wise understands that without a stable mind, without a calm mind, no spiritual life, no religious practice can be. In fact, the very beginning of spirituality, of religion, mysticism or meditation, whatever name you might wish to give you, it starts first with a stable mind. Remember when the Buddha left home and family, he left society, I should say, in search of a way. Buddha was in search of a way of the truth, how to attain freedom from suffering, from misery. He did not went in search of God, he didn't went in search of soul or whatever. He was very realistic, That's why I always said the Buddha's way was the most scientific, most natural, and most logical. So what he did, the first thing that he tried, that he did and intensely, was to settle the mind, to calm the mind. This is the first thing. Because with a wandering mind, with an unconscious mind, as it is with everybody in society today, and has always been so, neither can you see properly, neither can you think properly, neither can you feel properly. I have a hard feeling in it because, you think of something and then you feel something. You think about the wind, you think about colors, you think about so many things about God, but then you feel it. And it is only when the mind is stable, when the mind is calm, that you really experience feeling. So the beginning of religiousness, according to my experience and those of other masters, is a silent mind. So do not waste time in a lot of useless thinking, reading and this. Try first of all to have a stable mind. And of course, as I have taught you, nowadays it's not very easy to go straight away into silencing, into calming the mind. That's why you are taught many techniques, many therapies. So remember, whenever discussion, debates about religion arises, first of all, you should be able to listen. You should develop listening capacity. This is called Shravan in mysticism, Hindu. Shravan. You should be a Shravak. If you're not a Shravak, you cannot be religious. If you cannot listen attentively, if you cannot listen properly, you cannot be a disciple. You cannot even be a devotee. In fact, if you cannot listen properly, you are very far away from religion. So the very first step in being religious is to listen attentively, to be a Shravak. Be a Shravak. Be a disciple. That is how your religious life starts. That is from where your religious life starts. Thus the Buddha says, an archer aims an arrow, the wise aim the restless thoughts, hard to restrain. Indeed, you have been practicing meditation even a little, it's not very easy to restrain the mind. But then Krishna responded to Arjun for his question that the mind is hard to control. He said yes, but with practice, with regular practice, and above all, renunciation, detachment, balanced living, then you can master the mind, then you can to use common language, control the mind. In the science of yoga, when Patanjali starts describing about yoga, he's about to start yoga, he said, Atatosi yoga vyakasma. Now we are going to explain about yoga. The very first description, I have always loved this, what he says about yoga. What he says about yoga is same as saying about mind. He said, Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. I can repeat this phrase 1,000 of times. He said, Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Now people translate out, yoga means restraint. Mind, no, it's not like this. This means that on the lake of the mind, which is of the nature of consciousness, waves are constantly rising, in the form of thoughts, in the form of emotions, in the form of moods, in the form of restlessness. You can't stay in place. It is the thought waves that makes you behave like this. In fact, all your behavior are born from thought waves. They appear first as thinking, as waves that arises on the lake of the mind. Then they take the form of your attitude, your judgment, your moods, and so on, and your behavior. So, yoga chitta vritti nirodha means to stop the arising of waves on the lake of the mind. Just suppose you have a lake here, prevent the arising of waves from. Of course, you can't prevent the arisal of waves on the lake, or for that matter, in the sea. But the lake of your mind is yours. It is your reality. If you can increase the volume of your consciousness, note what I'm saying. Increase the volume of consciousness, of your awareness. You're already aware. It's not that you do not have awareness. You are already aware. That very awareness of yours has to be increased. You have to become more alert, more aware. And then one day you become cosmic conscious. You realize that there's only consciousness. So that is very important. Hard to restrain, so that you do not take it for granted. Do not take the mind for granted. Do not take meditation for granted. It requires a great amount of energy, tremendous energy, enough time and infinite patience. As a fish hooked and left on the sand, thrashes about in agony, wriggling. The mind, being trained in meditation, trembles all over, desperate to escape the hand of Mara. Buddha has used the word Mara. Mara means Maya. Maya means illusion. The mind is caught in illusion. Your unconsciousness, because of unconsciousness, you are caught in worldliness, you are caught in unconsciousness, you are caught with ambitions, desires, greed, anger, lust, hatred, false judgment, and so on and so on and so on. The mind is caught in worldliness, so this is what we call Mara. Mara means division. Mara means Maya means division. Mara, that is Maya, means false perception, wrong perception. There's only one thing. There's only one life. Your real I is that I, the I of oneness. In fact, you have no I. There's only one supreme I. But you have your own I. You have your own identity. The eyes of your consciousness, the eyes of your real mind, your real I mean the I, not this eyes, not the one pair of eyes, the single eye of consciousness is made with impressions from childhood, from many incarnations. So this is the meaning of Mara. As fish, when you start meditating, you have to struggle in the beginning. You struggle a lot. This practice, that practice, you concentration, you pray, you do a lot of therapies. And then one day as you become more alert, more relaxed, your understanding unfolds, then you arrive, then you become silent, then you simply watch, you become a witness until mind settles. This is wisdom. Wisdom means to stand outside, to stand apart. Because when you try to control the mind, when you do any spiritual practice related to mind control, what you are doing, japa, reciting a name, or you are reading, or you are trying to control the mind, you are already caught in Mara, as Buddha would say it. You are already caught in Maya. You are already caught in this vicious circle, because it is mind which does it. Even with witnessing, with watchfulness, you use mind. It's a different matter. In the scriptures, they say that you are pricked by a thorn, your feet, the soul is pricked by a thorn. You use another thorn to remove that thorn. So, anyway, you have to use mind. The wise use of mental energy, of mind, is extremely important. Otherwise, you get caught in the vicious circle of the mind. You're still in mind. You say, for example, you say, I'm aware, I'm controlling my mind, I'm watching. You're already caught in the spiral. So that's why Buddha developed the few passive techniques like Vipassana, Anapanasati Yoga, so that you do not get caught in the vicious circle of mind. You have to stand apart. And great effort is required to stand apart to be able to watch mind. Don't watch it. Hard it is to train the mind, which goes where it likes and does what it wants. So Buddha is saying, a master is saying, an enlightened being, he says, this has happened to him. He's speaking from experience. I would speak from experience. It's not very easy to control the mind. When I started to meditate, I was initiated into mantra. I started mantra meditation. My case was different. I was receptive. My path was that of devotion. So my guru, my master, gave me a mantra, which was highly charged. I started reciting the mantra. And of course, mantra will lead you up to a certain stage. Then one day I read somewhere about the no thinking state, the no mind state, how difficult it is. So I tried it. Then I realized that my mind, despite the fact that I was reciting mantra, I was meditating on the sound vibration of mantra, which was very powerful, though how difficult it was to keep the mind in one place. I used to practice concentration, and my concentration was very powerful. But after concentration in daily life, my mind was still wandering. Then I realized, despite the fact giving so much time and energy, mind was still wandering. So I started practicing the art of stopping the mind. I tried many methods, pranayama, this and that. Then I stumbled upon watchfulness. Then I realized, but of course, before starting to practice watchfulness, I'd already practiced mantra, I'd already practiced pranayama, bhastrika. So I reached somewhere, then I was able to practice watchfulness. Otherwise, if I would have been taught, perhaps right in the beginning about watchfulness, it could be very difficult. Thus, the many therapies and methods that I teach you. Hard it is to train the mind, which goes wherever it likes and does whatever it wants. It is as if the mind is the master. If you watch people, if you watch yourself, you will see that it is the mind, your mind, which decides what to do, what not to do. There is a Sufi story. There was a master called Baba Farid. Baba Farid. Sufi masters, they used to teach by experience. You ask a Sufi master a question, he may not answer you now. If you have the answer, he will answer you. Or if you don't have the answer now, he sees that this question requires an example. So one day, as he was walking through the village with his disciples, a few disciples, he saw a man pulling a bull, a young bull. He saw this as an opportunity and told his disciple, look, in this case, who is the master? The disciple said, of course, it is the man who is the master. He said, okay. He got a pair of scissors and cut the rope, which tied the bull, and by which the master was, the man was pulling the bull. Now, the bull started to run away. The man ran after the bull. He said, now hear the master. They said, of course it is the bull. So then they said, what to do? He said, be indifferent. Be indifferent to your thinking. Be aware but indifferent. Do not get carried away. You're sitting down, you're watching the water flowing and the bridge. Just keep your mind stable here in the now. The water passes. Just like if I do my hand like this, you look at my finger, but do not get carried away. Look at my face. Do not look at my finger. You see my finger passing like this, going and coming, but your focus, your gaze is on my face. So this is how it should be. This is the way to master the mind. Hard is it to train, but a trained mind brings health and happiness. A trained mind brings health and happiness. In itself, when the mind is stable, when your mind is calm, you feel bliss. You feel peaceful, you have peace. You experience peace. You experience your true nature as peace. In itself, when the mind starts, when thinking process calms down, when thought starts diminishing, when you start becoming more conscious, that in itself is blissful. That in itself is so peaceful. You experience something of the beyond. The first time I experienced thoughtlessness, I say, this is something really extraordinary. Then I gave body, mind, health and self my whole energy into trying to stop thinking. Then, as I told you, I stumble upon watchfulness. The wise can direct their thoughts, subtle and elusive. So, but a trained mind brings health and happiness. And of course, when you become a master of your mind, you become awakened. And when you become awakened, when you become more aware, it is consciousness. It is the light of consciousness that takes decision in place of the mind. It is the light of consciousness that is spontaneously direct you what type of behavior you are doing, what to choose, what not to choose. Otherwise, it is the mind, and the mind will always pull you away from your center. Remember, this is the nature of the mind. Why it is like this? This is the nature of the mind. To pull you away, to get you caught in illusion, to get you caught in suffering, in conflict, in judging, in hating, in going away from the center, in dividing. Because in the mind has a capacity called intellect. Intellect divides you. It deludes you through logic, through reasoning. It makes you feel that everything should be like this, clear-cut. Logic is very clear-cut, you know. When you have a sharp intellect, when you're academic, when you are intelligent, everything is clear. This, do this and that, this and that. This is chopping. This is cutting life. But with consciousness doesn't divide. You act spontaneously. You do not even choose. Things happen. Right. So this is called vivek. This is called vivek. Vivek means you act according and spontaneously according to the line of consciousness. But a trained mind brings health and happiness. Of course, the ultimate flowering of a trained mind, according to Buddha, trained mind, ultimate flowering is supreme bliss. It is Paramananda. Paramananda. Enlightenment. Samadhi. The wise can direct their thoughts, subtle and elusive. Whatever they choose, a trained mind brings health and happiness. The wise, what is the meaning of wise? A wise person is a person who has understood that mind flows outside. Mind brings misery. All the known human conflict is created by the mind. And the wise is a person who has understood that by calming the mind, by silencing the mind, one can experience health, happiness, and freedom. That is the meaning of a wise. The wise can direct their thoughts, subtle and elusive. Now, this is something that you have to understand. Mind is something extremely subtle. So subtle, so tiny, that you hardly feel that there is any in your head. And despite years, or should I say centuries of research with very sophisticated means, apparatus, science is still struggling to know whether we have something called consciousness of mind independent of the brain, which survives death, which existed prior to the physical body. So subtle it is, extremely subtle. But as you become more alert, you understand that there is something called mind. This is why, without turning your gaze inward, without meditation, it's not possible. Said in another way, only the mystics knows, have direct experience that there is something called consciousness which survives physical body, survives physical death, that transcends the brain, that transcends the physical body. The wise can direct the thoughts, subtle and elusive, wherever they choose. When you are a master of your thinking, or a meditative person, the master, he can choose to think whatever thought he wants. Otherwise, thoughts keep on coming in your mind. All types of thoughts from all directions. That's why I gave you a training, a technique. When you wake up in the morning, choose a beautiful thinking from Bhagavad Gita, from Osho, from anybody. Then you think about it during your whole day. In this way, you are telling your mind, you want to think, I will direct you into which direction to go. This also is a good training. The morning you wake up, you are driving 1 hour, 1.5 hours. In the afternoon, you are coming from work, 1 hour, 1.5 hours. You have taken a verse from Gita, from Quran, from any scriptures, from my teachings. Today I'm going to meditate on this and understand what does it mean. Because you don't have to follow any scriptures or any master blindly. You have to understand their statements, every words that they say. Whether it is from me, or for Osho, any master, Krishna, any master, even it is from God. You have to understand. You have to make those realities represented by their thinking yours. So this is a way to just to use the word mind control. You wake up in the morning, you meditate a little, and you're driving, you start to going here and there, you start thinking all sorts of thoughts coming. I'm not saying that it's something easy. If you want something easier, then you have to go in the world. In the world, in society, there are a lot of other things. A lot of therapy, a lot of yoga, a lot of pranayama. This is easy. But mind, mastery of the mind is not very easy, and it is the best practice. Mind mastery. The wise can direct the thoughts, subtle and elusive, wherever they choose. A trained mind brings health and happiness. That's it for the time being. Yes, if you have any question related to the exposure I've just made, or if you have any experiences that you wish to share, please go ahead. Come nearer a bit in the shade here, so that we can hear your yes. Mm-hmm.
My question is it always the thought process that creates the emotion, or sometimes the emotion can share the thought?
Now, emotion is a dominant force. For example, I hate you. I have developed hatred for you. Suppose I'm a spiritual person, suppose I'm a religious person. What I will do, I will try to control my emotions. I will say, I have been taught. Scriptures have taught me, masters have taught me, gurus have taught me. Many people have said, it's not good to hate, because it's a poison. It's not good to throw your poison on somebody else externally. You have to transform your poison. But it's not that easy. You should have developed a fiery awareness. Meanwhile, each time you think about my words of hatred or any event related to things that make you hate me, the emotion will surface. So you think, and then the emotion comes. You think, and then the emotion comes. Thinking brings emotion. Thinking is closely related to all your life experiences. If you had an injury, if you passed through a shock, a trauma, an insult, ego-shattering experience, you keep on thinking about these. When you are sleeping, you even dream about them. And even in your dream, your emotions are aroused. You feel like suffocating, you feel like a nightmare, then you wake up. Or start crying, you get angry. You see what I mean? So you think, and then it becomes habit, it becomes your character, then emotion surfaces up. So that's why the best spiritual practice is to watch your thinking very closely. That's why I have always said, and I will always say till my last breath, invest massively, invest massively in watching yourself. And when I say watch yourself, you're not going to watch your feet or no, you're going to watch your thinking. Because thinking is mind and mind is your. The only way to go to the depth of your mind, the only way to face your unconsciousness and to face your elusive self, the elusive I, the false identity called ego, is by watching your thoughts. Now there are other less difficult methods, like for example, watch your words, because your words comes from your mind, even your behavior. That's why the lower practices, you can start watching your actions, because it is the mind which acts through your body. You start, that's why I gave a practice, I'm always giving this practice, especially to new people. You start watching every move that you do. This is a bit easier. You are eating, watch yourself eating. It's just like somebody watching you. Somebody seated there, you are eating, somebody is watching you eating. It feels a bit weird, a bit odd, a bit embarrassing. A girl is walking and 10 men is looking at her. You see? So your behavior started. So start watching your action. Everything that you do. Then shift to your words. Every word that you speak. Okay? From today I'm going to mind every word. I'm not saying that's an easy practice. This is a highly mystical practice. Watch your words. Then you can shift to your breathing. Then ultimately you shift to your thinking. But many people, what they do the great mistake of trying to stop their mind, which is extremely difficult, or they start trying to concentration, which is equally very difficult, then they give up because it's too difficult. So that's why you have to start step by step, then everything.